Hi, my name is Linus and today I show you how to play Now Boarding. Now Boarding is a cooperative game for 2 to 5 players. We run an airline and each player has its own plane and we're trying to transport passengers around the country as efficient as possible. If you make it till the end of the game without having too much complaints from passengers, you win the game. If you have too many complaints before the game ends, you lose. To set up the game, start by placing the game board in the center of the table. The game board has 2 sides, one for 4 to 5 players, that's the side with the Seattle airport, and one side for 2 to 3 players. Since I'm showing a 2-player setup, I'm going to use the other side. Place the pre-flight chart to the side and make stacks of the upgrade seats, the upgrade speed tiles, the upgrade route tiles, the temporary upgrades and the weather tokens, as well as a pile of Anger cubes. Place the send timer within reach. Then each player chooses a color and takes a wingtail, a cockpit, a plane miniature of that color, as well as a wingtip which shows speed 3. Place your plane miniature on your starting airport, which is shown on the back of your cockpit. Then take one seat upgrade and add it to your plane. And now each player has a choice to add either another seat upgrade or a speed upgrade to their plane. Let's say purple takes a speed upgrade and green takes a seat upgrade. In a 2-player game, each player can also add a route upgrade of their choice. And that's your starting plane. This plane has speed 4 and 1 seat. This plane has speed 3 and 2 seats. Then take all the passenger cards and in a 3-player game remove all cards that show Seattle either on their front or on their back. And remove them from the game. If you play a 2-player game, in addition, remove all cards that show JFK either on their front or on their back. Then find one card for each player that shows their starting airport on the back and place it at the airport. Each airport has an area connected to it with a dotted line, which is the waiting area for this airport. Flip the passengers face up to show their destination airport where they want to go to and their ticket price, which you'll gain when you deliver them to their destination. Shuffle the remaining passenger cards and then have a look at the pre-flight chart at the column which matches your player count. In this case we're playing 2 players, so we're using only this column. There are 3 stages, morning, afternoon and evening, and in each stage we place cards in the pile equal to the number shown on the in pile line, which is 1, 2, 3 for morning, 10 for afternoon and the remaining 27 to evening. Then you draw a number of passenger cards from the morning deck equal to draw per round, which is 1, and place it face down on the passenger starting airport shown on the back. Then take all weather cards and remove from the game all cards that show a number on the top right not matching your player count. There are cards for 3 or more players and cards for 4 or more players. All other cards are for 2 or more players, so they are added for all player counts. Shuffle them and place a number to the morning, afternoon and evening stage as shown in the weather line here, which is 2 per stage. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The rest goes back to the box. Then draw the first weather card and place a storm marker on the route between the two airports shown, covering a space. Then flip the second card and place a tailwind token on the route shown, again covering a space. And remove the cards from the game. If you have more weather cards, because you're playing with a higher player count, keep drawing and alternate between storm and tailwind tokens until all weather cards have been drawn. Flip over the pre-flight chart to show the upgrade side, and you're ready to begin the game. Now boarding is played in rounds, and each round consists of a flight phase followed by a maintenance phase. You keep playing rounds until you either win or lose the game. You lose the game if you have 3 or more passengers in your complaint pile, which I explain in the maintenance phase. And you win the game if you manage to play through the final round without having too many complaints. In the flight phase, players move their planes around the country and pick up and drop off passengers. The flight phase is timed by the sand timer and is played simultaneously. There is no turn order. You start the flight phase by flipping the timer and all face-down passengers at airports. Then players can take as many actions as they want to from the 3 actions available. The 3 actions are move, pick up passenger, drop off passengers. And you can take as many of those actions as you want within the time. With the move action, you can move your plane from dot to dot on the routes between the airports. All planes have access to the airports and to the normal route spaces, which are the white dots. You can only enter special route spaces if you have the route icon either on your plane's tail or cockpit or in a route upgrade. In this case, the purple plane can also move on the purple spaces and on these orange spaces, while the green plane can use the green spaces and the red spaces in addition to the white ones and the airports themselves. Within the flight phase, a player can move his plane only a maximum of spaces equal to his speed. So in this flight phase, the green plane could only move a maximum of 3 spaces, while the purple one could move 4. The storm weather token adds another space to a route by covering up 1 space with 2 spaces, while the tailwind token removes a space from the route. You can cross these tokens in any direction you want to. Also, you don't necessarily need to end the flight phase on an airport. You can be mid-flight if you want to. To pick up a passenger at an airport, you need to be at the airport where the passenger is waiting, and you need to have a free seat for the passenger. You take the card and place it on your seat. If your seats are already full, you can drop off a passenger to make space for the passenger you want to pick up. You cannot drop off passengers mid-flight to a plane where you're on the same space with. This is not allowed. When you're at an airport, you can drop off as many passengers from your plane as you want to. This does not necessarily need to be the destination airport of the passenger. For example, I can drop off the passenger who wants to go to San Francisco at LA. When you drop off a passenger at their destination airport, take its card, rotate it to show the money value, and put it in a personal money pile to the side. This money can be spent in the maintenance phase. There's one restriction: you cannot pick up and drop off a passenger at the same airport. When the timer runs out, each player finishes his current action and then the flight phase is over. After each flight phase, there's a maintenance phase, in which we care about passengers' anger and complaints, we add new passengers, and buy upgrades and prepare the next round. Add 1 anger cube to each passenger who is still waiting at an airport. Passengers in a plane do not gain anger cubes. If a passenger already has 3 anger cubes and you need to place the 4th one, instead remove all anger cubes and the passenger files a complaint. Put him in a complaint pile to the side of the board. If there are ever 3 passengers in the complaint pile, you lose the game together. When you pick up a passenger with an anger cube, simply remove the cube and place the passenger on your plane. Remember, you can never pick up and drop off a passenger at the same airport just to get rid of the anger cube. Then you add more waiting passengers to the airport, drawn from the pile of the current stage. Look at the draw per round number according to your player count and add this many new passengers face down next to their airport. In the afternoon stage, you would add 2 passengers and in the evening stage 3. If the passenger pile of your current stage is empty when you need to draw a card, you move to the next stage and draw from this passenger pile. Also, remove all weather tokens from the board and find new spaces for them by revealing the weather cards of this stage. Again, the first card places a storm token and the second card a tailwind token. Then players can spend their money of passengers in their money pile to buy any combination of upgrades available. The prices of the upgrades are shown on the upgrade chart. You can buy additional seats, where each additional seat gets more expensive. For example, if Purple wanted to buy a second seat, they need to pay $5. Add the seat upgrade tile to your plane. Then there are speed upgrades with increasing costs, which you add to your wing and which increase the speed of your plane. And then there are the route upgrades for $7 each, which allow you to travel on more special spaces on the map. There are 2 temporary upgrades. One is the temporary speed upgrade for $1. When you buy it, place it to your plane, and this gives your plane 1 more movement for the next flight phase. At the end of the next flight phase, remove the token back to the supply. The temporary seat upgrade costs $2 and you place it beside your plane. And this allows you to take 1 more passenger in your plane as long as you have the seat upgrade. But as soon as any one of your regular seat upgrades is empty again, place the passenger from the temporary seat to your plane and remove the temporary seat token back to the supply. Pay the total costs of your upgrades with passengers from your money pile. You can overpay. The green player chose his 4th speed upgrade, which costs 5, so he needs to discard both of those passengers worth $6, but you don't get any change. Any excess amount is lost. Remove those passenger cards from the game. At the end of the maintenance phase, players can discuss their plans for the next flight phase and then start the next phase by flipping the timer and all face down passengers at the airports. If at the start of the maintenance phase the evening deck is empty, no more passengers are added to airports and you play 1 last flight phase without any further maintenance phase. After that, you remove all anger cubes from passengers at the airport, collect all passengers not yet picked up and all passengers still on planes. For each 2 passengers, place 1 in the complaint pile. Now if you have 3 or more passengers in the complaint pile, you lose the game, otherwise you win. There are 2 variants in the game. The first variant is money handoff. In this variant, during maintenance phase, you can freely exchange passengers from your money piles to share the money with other players. This makes the game slightly easier. The VIP passenger variant makes the game more challenging. Take the VIP passenger cards, shuffle them and add a number of cards during setup as shown in the table. In a two-player game we add 4 cards. The cards show the stage they are placed at on their back. So we deal 4 cards, in this case morning, morning, afternoon and afternoon. The rest of the cards are removed from the game. During maintenance phase, after you placed passengers, you can decide to flip over the topmost VIP card and add it to the passenger who was placed last. The VIP card stays attached to this passenger and shows a special condition. In this case, it must be the first passenger to be picked up from the current airport. The VIP card stays attached to the passenger until he is delivered to his destination airport. You can choose not to add VIP cards in the maintenance phase, but at the end of the stage, each VIP card left over in this stage is added to the complaint pile and counts as another passenger there. And this is all you need to know to play Now Boarding. Now, have fun with the game and see you next time.